Good afternoon. Still absolutely gorgeous. You've probably gathered by now I tend to do these things in spells. It's just the way that I do it. Welcome to Dice and Bolts, where I take a look at the core dice mechanic behind a lot of the different role-playing games that are on my shelf. And in this video, I'm going to take a quick look at the Cortex system. The only print version I've got at the moment is Marvel Heroic, and I still rate this as one of the best superhero games that I have ever had. Okay, but the PDF has just gone out to Kickstarter backers for Cortex Prime, which is like a generic system neutral version of this one, written by a chap called Cam Banks. He's on Twitter at BoyMonster. I don't think there's a website for this version of the game because this is Margaret Weiss and they've lost a license for it. Marvel superhero games, I've had most of them, and this is one of the best of them. What we have is a polyhedral pool-based game. It is roll high, no exploding dice. Everybody rolls, including the storyteller. You've got plot points that can affect it, and you need pretty much a full set of polyhedrals, minus the d20 and minus the top percentage dice. Okay. And this one takes a bit of explaining to get a bit more to it. It's useful if you've got a character sheet as well. You build a pool of dice, which is based on, say, in the superhero version, you have your affiliation. So if you've got a stat which is solo, buddy, and team. So if you're acting by yourself, if you're acting with one other person, or if you're acting as a team of other people. And that will be a D4, a D6, or a D8. So if you're better at being by yourself, it'll be a D8. If you're better at being a part of a team, like Cloak and Dagger, for example, they work better together. Their affiliation dice is buddy is D8. They get the best dice in that one there. And I say D4, D9. Those are bad guys. I'm just double checking. Yeah, D6, D8, D10. D6, D8, D10, crikey. So forget that one then. So your best one is a D10. And if you're better in part of a team, then your team is going to be a D10. So you're going to get, let's see if I can build an example on this one here. Iron Man, Cyclops, Daredevil. You all know Daredevil. He had a TV series, which I've not watched. Apparently, it's quite good. So he's better at solo. All right. So if we have got Daredevil versus a bunch of street thugs, that's his origin. He's fighting by himself. So his pool starts off with a D10 because that's his affiliation. Each character then has 3 distinctions, which are short phrases that they're kind of epithets in the way your character is described. If these apply in a positive way, you can use 1 distinction, and that will add a D8. If it's used in a negative way, it'll add a D4, and you gain a plot point. So you get a buyback of it. Here's Daredevil's distinctions are blind justice, man without fear, and protector of Hell's Kitchen. We're fighting street thugs that are dealing drugs in his area. It's going to be that last one. So we're going to get a D8 for that one there. A character would then have between 1 and 3, sometimes 4 power sets. And these are the kind of groups of things that you can do. So, for example, Daredevil's power set's Billy Club and his hypersenses. And that's basically his 2 things. So Billy Club, and each power set has got a number of powers in it, each which has got a dice rating for it. So it's got extra durability 8, swing line 6, weapon 6. So he's fighting, using his Billy Club as a weapon. It's a D6 added to the pool. And then his other power set is hypersenses, enhanced reflexes, enhanced stamina, superhuman senses. Well, if you're fighting, then your reflexes are going to do it. That's a D8. D8 goes into the pool. You can then add 1 speciality, which are like skills. And these are sort of fairly standard: acrobatics, covert, menace, combat, crime, psych. those sorts of things. Mysticism, science, those are all of the different things. So we've got a combat expert at D8, so we'll add that to the pool. And then there are scene and asset dice that you can have like created through it. So there may be an extra D6 that you can claim because it's dark and they've got problems, or it could be villain, your opponent's negative dice that you can add to your pool. But we'll leave it at that from that one there. We then roll the pool of dice. We choose, and the opposition will roll, or the GM will roll for the opposition as well, building a pool in a very, very similar way, with a few extra dice that you can draw from. It's called the Doom Pool in Marvel Heroic, and it's a wonderful mechanic. This game deserves a video all of itself. And what we do on this one, that's not a particularly wonderful roll, but we choose, first off, any ones are opportunities that the GM stroke storyteller can use, so they act in the GM's favour, which is why getting plot points for adding D4s to your pool is a good thing, because you've got quite a high chance of getting a 1. So those things can't be used for anything else. The GM is the Doom pool increases. The GM's going to get that advantage there. You choose 2 of the dice, okay, and there's an option to choose more to become your action total. So if we know that this guy, say we're using the fast combat rule, which means that bad guys have got like static defense values rather than rolling every time, and he's got a static defense value of 10. We know that we need a total of 10 to hit him. So 6 out of 4 is 10. And we do a D8 in effect. So when you choose that extra dice to be your effect dice, the number that you roll doesn't matter. So if we've got a D12 in the pool and we've only rolled a 2 on it, we can still use it as an effect dice. It's D12, which is normally enough to knock somebody out in 1 hit. You know, fantastic, because your health rating is, you've taken D4 damage, D6, D8, D10, D12, knocked out. And D12 is usually knocked out for it. You can spend plot points to keep extra dice onto this side of things. So if these weren't, if they weren't 1s, what we could do is we could say, well, actually, we needed a 12 to hit this guy. I'll spend 1 of my plot points, and you've got a pool of tokens. I'll do that. So I've got a total of 14. Math is baked out of me at the moment. And I'll do D10 damage. So spending that 1 plot point, it means that we've done more damage, but we've hit rather than not hitting. You can spend plot points to keep extra effect dice. So if we spend a second plot point, we can do that, which means we do D10 damage to 1 character and D8 damage to a second character. And then there are some abilities that allow you, before you roll the dice, to say, well, actually, I don't need all of these dice. So a mastery of D8. So we had combat mastery. Okay. You can actually split that D8 from your mastery into 2 D6s, which is really useful if you know that D6s will take a minion out. So if we roll this one, again with the 1s, come on, change those around. We roll those ones there, and if we've got an ability that allows us to keep multiple effect dice without spending plot points, we can say, right, well, there's 2 effect dice, or there's 2 action dice, there's a 15, there's hit that goon. Well, actually, we've got 3 goons we need to take out. My ability allows me to keep 3 different effect dice, 1, 2, 3, D6 damage each. So there's done a standard Daredevil, throw the billy club, hits one guy in the head, bounces off, hits another guy, bounces off, hits another guy. Or edit that bit out. Yeah, there's the dice and bolts of it. Assemble a dice pool based on your character sheets. So you build a list of dice top to bottom, roll the pool, keep 2 of them, add the numbers together, keep a third one to be your effect dice, and it's a dice size that matters rather than anything else. Roll well, hopefully not as. I'm just glad I'm shaving some ones off these dice for when I actually use them, because I've got a D&D game coming up on Saturday night, and these are obviously dice that I use, and hopefully I'm just going to just blitz all the ones out. Yeah, roll well, and I shall see you around.